I hear this a lot that, AI is going to take things over. We're not going to have any jobs. It's just sort of general consensus that life is going to be ruined because of AI and artificial intelligence. And I just keep thinking about like how different our life is today compared to what it used to be. And the problem is we don't have a comparison of what it actually used to be. I think about like, um, just my day to day, and that, yeah, I drive to a spot and I spend time in front of a computer screen, and then I go home. That's my job, right? And I drive back home. And I drive probably an hour, hour and a half, driving kids around, that kind of stuff in the evening. Um, all of that is a made up fiction in the last, probably even the last 30 years or last 20 years, right? Like people didn't do this kind of stuff. Um, it was not kosher and normal to, um, to drive kids around at the end of the evening. Nobody would do that kind of stuff, right? Like we find when work gets easier and things transform or change, we find different things, right? Like houses never used to be as clean as what they are today. We have all of these devices that make it clean, and we spend so much time making it clean. In fact, it's almost, some people argue that it's a problem. It's causing us to be more sick because our houses are too clean. um, there's all these kind of things that happen where we just switch and change and gradually evolve. And it's evolve at the sort of habit, or um, at the routine sort of level. It's hard to see. It's not something that sort of happens immediately, and you might not even be ever aware of it, that this kind of stuff transforms until you actually look at it, and all of a sudden one day you're like, hey, wait a minute, what about this thing? I used to do this thing, and you don't do it anymore, right? Like it was very common growing up for me, um, to only have one bath a week, right? Like that was pretty common in my generation. I used to do that when I was a kid, a week, right? Like, yeah, it was like, now if I say, oh, I only bathe once a week, people would be like, woof, what are you doing? A lot of people bathe at least once a day, probably even sometimes twice a day. Um, and I just think about like all these different things that have shifted and changed. And it's because we just have more access to things that we didn't have access to because we're a lot more efficient than we used to be. So if I was to say, what is the world going to be like? If somebody's going to ask me, what is the world going to be like? I actually don't know, because some of this is sort of random variation that happens just in how we deal with the world, and sometimes something will pop up, in very a random way. Often it might be playing up things that we're all already insecure about as human beings, whatever that thing is, right? So, if you're to think about, um, you know, things with procreating, for example, there'd be a lot more stuff around that, habits around that. There'll probably be more things about, raising kids, and more effort around that. There'll probably be, and everything to do with that, right? Like that is like selecting a male and all that kind of, mate, sorry, um, and all that kind of stuff that goes along with it. And as well is there'll probably be more things to do with selecting, activities that keep us enjoyed and entertained. Um, this is not to say that the robots are going to completely take over everything, right? That's a little bit science fiction. I think it's still a long ways away by the time that gets to that. And maybe it will never get to that, right? Because I think that there's things that robots do really well and still not so well. And they'll probably be that way, right? Like I think that there will be for at least a long time the sort of difference between what robots can actually do and what humans can do. Um, eventually they will reach the point where they will probably be just better in everything. And so we have to think about a society in that way, right? I think it sounds really scary for a lot of people, but they will be better at parenting and they will be better at loving other people, right? Like there will be all of these things where people will actively choose to mate with robots, right? Because they're better at it. They're more attractive. I think we see this today in a lot of different ways. Um, and so what do we have to do? Well, we probably have to change, some of the institutions. We probably have to change, incentives a lot, right? Maybe we start paying people to have kids. I know it sounds really strange, but a lot of countries do that already, right? I grew up in a country that did that. We got a child family allowance in Canada. That was the thing. My mom would be really excited to get it because it might mean a lot. It was a lot of money for us. Um, but there's lots of things that will change, that will look different. Um, we may even go through a population decline as we go through these transitions, which is not anything new. We've been going through population decline for a long time globally. As we've risen, we're still growing, but the rate at which it's growing is declining, right? And we're going to see these kind of things. We have to think about, okay, how is this going to play out in the long run? It's going to be different. That's all I can say. And it's going to continue on with the same patterns that we've been seeing for a long time. Um, I wish it wasn't so uneasy, but I'm also as much of a pessimist. I'm very much an optimist with this. I think that there's going to be some interesting things that will evolve, that all of us will be better off, including robots. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.